Hi everyone, it's Sam, NFT Stats on Twitter with your proof daily NFT countdown. 5 things to talk about today, and I think we have to start with Yuga. First of all, the Dookey Dash game began. We'll get to that. More hints were dropped. If you look at the past 24-hour volume, though, the top 4 collections were Sewer Pass, Kennels, Mutants, and Apes. So really all Yuga at the top of the volume charts today. Why is that? Well, the game launched yesterday. And you're riding an ape through a sewer, avoiding obstacles, trying to collect things. Pretty simple game, people say, but also incredibly addictive. My Twitter is full of people who are saying that this game is far more addictive than they ever expected. Here, Morgan says it's crazy addicting and I don't even play games and I am addicted. Nick Adler, Bored Ape Yacht Club has me sitting in a corner running the same game over and over. The 15-year-old in me is back and I cannot pull myself away. It goes on and on. People seem to like the game. As a result, the passes are increasing in value. You can see those green bars, which is where prices are right now, is well above where we were at those red bars yesterday. The biggest jump is in Tier 4. Reminder, Tier 4 gives you the biggest premium on your points when you play the game, and you're only measured by what your best score is. So if anybody's going to sit around and be as addicted to this game as everyone seems to be, you're going to want to get that Tier 4 pass. It's getting you the best multiplier, and that will get you the best NFT, we think, when you can turn your Sewer Pass into the new NFT, which we don't know much about, but we did get a hint yesterday. Okay. Bored Ape Yacht Club tweeted this. Gary the dog prophet licked a toad, stumbled into the swamp, and returned with a sketch he made. So let's look at the sketch he made. I'm not deep into this, so I don't know all the hints, but here's the sketch. There's a whole lot going on here. Gordon Goner, founder of Bored Apes, said the skill-based mint is just the start of the journey. So this sketch has a lot of hints at what's to come, I think, with the next mint. A few of those hints in there. MD versus MMI. Jimmy is preparing an army. We must prepare. Jimmy the Monkey. Evo 1, Evo 2. Evo 1, Evo 2 is something they've referred to earlier in some of their roadmaps. So a bunch of hints in there. I'm not sure what's coming, but what's clear is that there's a lot more coming after this game is over. One thing I think is it just always hits me is that Yuga really understands degens, and Bored Apes really brings that out. One thing that Gordon Goner said on a podcast a couple months ago, I tweeted this, is we want everything we do to have a sense of, holy fucking shit, this is the weirdest, coolest experience I've had in Web3. That was his quote. I think you're seeing that play out here as we go. Story number 2, OpenSea volumes hit near 2-month highs. Okay, if you look at, this is OpenSea volumes since the middle of November. You can see that yesterday was close to the highest that they've been at 15,000 ETH of volume. Now this is the volume charts if you add Blur, SudoSwap, X2, Y2, and Looks Rare. And you can see that we are hitting highs kind of in a cumulative sense, aside from that period where a ton of people were airdrop farming after the Blur launched airdrop 3. So we're getting back towards high levels from where we've been in the past couple months. So that's all good to see. The OpenSea market share, and we talked about this yesterday, has really, really risen sharply, back to where they, not where they used to be, 75, 80%, but just a little bit above 50%. 2 reasons for that. One is, I think the introduction of royalties. So Blur used to be 0 royalty, 0 fee. So you could try to airdrop farm or flip and put bids in and do everything you could at 0 fee. Now they've added a required 0.5% royalty. Not a huge royalty. I mean, still huge discount to what royalties are actually being requested by creators. But as a result, it's just a little more friction. And I think you're seeing a little bit less flipping, a little bit less kind of airdrop farming, a little less aggressiveness in the airdrop farming. And the second thing is, as we discussed yesterday, sewer passes are only tradable on OpenSea and X2, Y2. So because of that, you're seeing a bit more of that market share pick up for OpenSea. Story number 3, Lucréce. Well, Lucréce is just an artist. I started digging in on what this guy's been doing because he's popping up all over the place. If you haven't heard of him, I think one of the reasons he got quite hot over the past month is that he had a Sotheby's sale where he sold 8 NFTs in this monster series, and 8 of them sold for $25,000 to $35,000. So that's a really nice result for him. More recently, more kind of topically, he just launched an open edition on January 18th. Okay, and here is the tweet that launched that open edition, and they were, there were 15 minutes to mint at 0.06 ETH. Okay, and now they're at a 0.11 floor price, so not, almost a 2x from that 0.06, but 8,408 of them were minted in just 15 minutes. Okay, so we had just a huge result from this open edition mint. Now, as is always true, not always true, but as has been true recently, certainly, led by Jack Butcher and Checks, with these open editions, they want to turn them into games, make those open edition tokens, perhaps a currency towards something else. With Jack Butcher and Checks, he's trying to allow you to burn them to get the different types of NFTs. We don't know what Lucréce is going to do here. Okay, he's saying that there are so many other use cases for token outside of burns, but but things are going to get fun. And this morning he said, GM, are your notifications on? So something's happening here. We'll see what it is. This artist is from Norway. He's Vietnamese, but born and raised in Norway, media exec. So interesting kind of marketing background. Curious to see what he does. The other thing interesting is there's a collection called Day Monsters that he dropped. And you went 7 months without a single sale. Okay. And in the past 8 days, there have been 3. And you had 2 over the past 24 hours for 16.5 ETH. Okay. He also has a collection called Monsters Icons. Very similar situation, 10 months without a single sale, and you've had 4 in the past week. So this guy is really, really becoming someone on the radar screen. Have a look at his work. Curious to see what comes out there. Story number 4, DigiDaigaku Dragons mint announced. Okay. Now, why do I think this is so interesting? On December 7th, DigiDaigaku tweeted that they're going to have a Super Bowl ad, which will feature the first free mint ever on TV. It will be viewed by over 50 million people. A reminder, DigiDaigaku is run by Gabriel Layden, a very successful mobile games exec. He made some successful mobile games in like 2015, 2016 timeframe. And he raised $200 million for this DigiDaigaku project, even before he started doing it. And he recently said that he was spending some of that $200 million, I think $4 or $5 million, on a Super Bowl ad. So this is just going to be a lot of visibility, a lot of cultural visibility for NFTs and for an NFT project. He recently tweeted, as he often does, you got to follow me, retweet this, and you could get a chance to mint a dragon, which is going to be minted live during the Super Bowl, during the commercial. I just think this is interesting because, one, the DigiDaigaku NFTs have done really well. Currently the Genesis has a floor price of 13, Heroes at 5, Spirits at 5. Like, these are pretty valuable NFTs. The other thing is, if you remember last year during the Super Bowl, the Nouns glasses were featured in one of the Super Bowl ads, and it was very subtle. It was a Bud Light ad. It really had nothing to do with NFTs. It was subtle, but that alone gave, the Nouns auctions prices started going higher. People were talking about Nouns in the NFT community. So I think that there is this moment coming. I'm really curious to see what Gabriel does. He has done Super Bowl ads before, so this will not be a first, but really curious to see how that goes. I think it's kind of an interesting story. People aren't really talking about it, but let's see how that plays out. Last thing, want to just talk about a few notable sales. There weren't a ton of art sales yesterday. I had a hard time finding any art sales that were that much above 10 ETH, aside from, I think, a Subscape and a Harvest sold at those prices. One thing that did sell high was an Otherdeed. Otherdeed number 32. This sold for 88 ETH. Now, there's no coda here, so why is it selling for so much? It's because that 32 number, very low, and the low serial number Otherdeeds are very central, like on that main island of their map. This chart here looks at all the Otherdeed sales for serial numbers below 100. You can see that 88 is actually at the low end of where they've been selling in the past, so you can see that there. Another sale, Valhalla, sold for 14.75 ETH. There's a short stretch there. This chart looks at when have there been trades at more than 10 ETH in Valhalla. There's a short stretch there where you had like 5 to 10 a day. We haven't had any for a while, but we did have one yesterday. They also dropped a little bit of news at Valhalla that they're going to be adding skins in honor of Chinese New Year. So a little bit of news there, nothing too crazy. This isn't a sale, but I feel like I got to talk about it. The number 5 trending set is Hasbullah NFT, minted out at 0.05 ETH, currently trading at 0.12 ETH. For those of you who don't know, Hasbullah is a Russian kind of influencer, meme, attention, just kind of a guy who really became hot in the internet in 2020. You know, you can see him here with Khabib Nurmagomedov. And of course, the internet has done what it does and has started the hashtag Hasbullish. But yeah, he's 19 years old, so not as young as he looks, and kind of just become a big personality. And of course, NFTs love big personalities and memes. And here we are with this being one of the top performing sets on OpenSea. Last thing, I didn't find any big sets, but I did want to find some art that I thought was cool. So this was a piece I thought was kind of cool. It's called Metropolis by Charles Sy, Total France on Twitter. It sold for 6.07 ETH on Super Rare. I just thought this was kind of an interesting piece that combines AI with bringing into play meme cards and sees the memes of production. Thought it was kind of an interesting piece. So congrats to the seller. I think this was his highest sale. Not sure, but congrats to him. So that's all for today. Talked about a whole lot today. Yeah. Feel free to comment on what I missed. Feel free to comment. What do you think of this Dookey Dash thing? Do you think, I found that people tend to be really it's kind of like really polarized, people's view on Yuga. But right now, I'm impressed with what they're doing, but curious to hear what you think. We'll be back on Monday with more stories every single weekday. Have a good weekend. Talk to you soon.